All right, so it's Baker and Molassis at the movies, and we've got an extra guest today, Del Jacobs from the State College of Florida. And we're doing an after show. We just finished Gus's Facebook Live show. And we just were dying to talk to you more, Del.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
He's great to talk to, and he's the film guy. And he's doing. Tell everybody what you're doing. Do 1969, a year in film, and you're teaching over there at your really cool pad. I call it a pad.
It's a screening room. It really is a film screening room.
It's a pad. Yeah.
Well, it's got popcorn maker and a real popcorn maker.
It's got an old
and a jukebox. And it's digital screening, and our students chose the seats.
Yeah, it's
so
cool.
This is definitely from the ground up, and we're doing a special 3-hour credit course on cinema of 1969, The End of Innocence, and it looks at films and cultural events from that year.
All right, perfect. And I didn't realize that was a subtitle, End of Innocence, because Once Upon a Time in Hollywood obviously has that ending of innocence. So, and we won't do spoilers for sure. We'll just, if we talk about it, we won't give anything away.
And Roxy, you liked the film quite a bit.
I loved it.
And I would like to know what Del thought. Del,
I liked it.
You're a big Tarantino fan, right?
It's right up there near the top of his work for me, and his films, as I realize, are just cultural events. People who like them or intrigued by them, if you're not a dyed-in-the-wool fan, they want to check them out. And it probably makes them more critically conscious. You know, Tarantino is one of our few genuine auteurs.
Yeah, it's true.
There are a few others in American cinema, but more and more these days, people are making films that conform to a corporate or a franchise or a brand mentality, and they can't have that independent voice.
I heard this about Quentin, and I thought it was so appropriate analogy that he's like a desktop with all the browsers open. You know, and this movie, don't you think this movie, one of the most beautiful cinematography, where the lights go on in all those restaurants at night, wasn't that gorgeous? Yeah. I just love that stuff.
Yeah, you can see that he not only loves Hollywood and the whole filmmaking aspect, but he loves filmmaking, and that's just a beautiful moment. Musso and Frank's, right? It's in there, and all those. That's a great.
Oh, love it.
A great.
Well, just the production design, everything from the billboards to the logos, real or fabricated, that are on bottles, to the manner in which a bar from that era is set up, and liquor is poured, and chairs are organized. You know, there's a real attention to those
And we
details.
see Jack Nicholson on that little board there. What is it? Where they park the car? You know.
Oh yeah, where the keys are, where everybody's keys are, or
no, where they park the car next to the house.
Yeah.
The house, that's Jack there, and Jack was friends obviously with Polanski,
right,
and they lived. So that's kind of, you know, that was an interesting connecting point, if you will. We're not giving away spoilers.
No, not at all.
I was worried that it was going to be too Manson-esque.
So was I a little bit.
Were you?
When I heard about the film, but.
Not celebrating words. That's not the right word. No. What is the right word? Kind of making light of it.
Right, and I think I've read that he met a lot with Sharon Tate's sister.
Correct.
Who's still living, and I bet that influenced what he chose to do, obviously. And I think that shows his respect for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And we're concerned in Tarantino films so much with the way time is managed. And in this film, it's pretty clean. It's 3 days. 2 days.
Yeah, that's
and then later, that one
later.
fatal day.
Yeah. That's amazing.
And title cards are used to give you an almost documentary-like feel. This is the time of day.
Yeah, right. Because they even said the time when they were going to the restaurant.
And the time of the film, it comes in clocks at 1:59. Not that I count minutes, but it didn't seem long to either of you two, did it?
Not to me. No.
Okay.
No. And I think some of that is also due to the soundtrack.
Yes.
I mean, it keeps not always playing a song in total, but it keeps changing.
It does.
And he's a master of that. He's a master of changing and setting you up and delivering.
And not afraid to recycle music, appropriating it in ways that are sometimes usual, sometimes unusual.
Yeah, I'm gonna see it again before I write my review. But I have that love-hate thing. I hate to say the word hate, love, hateful hate.
Right.
But I loved a lot of it, and the second time I might. That's going to tell me if it's a great film.
Right.
It's my barometer.
And I have to say, we showed Midnight Cowboy at Burns Court. And I still think that's better. Obviously, the whole, it's more of a complete movie, I think, Midnight Cowboy. As far as like the range of emotion. I mean, I got it with Pitt and DiCaprio, beautiful, but you see Hoffman and Voight, and you're like, oh my God.
I want to ask the professor this question. Does he luxuriate too much? Does he take too much? Is he too not falling in love with himself? And Quentin has that he can like, and he could have gotten to some things tighter. I hate to tell him what to do. That's his thing.
There are some moments, and sometimes if dialogue goes on too long, or there's a Mexican standoff that's entirely too extreme. There's not that in this film that much.
Right.
I think that can happen, but I don't think it, despite the length, it doesn't happen in this film. He's able to cut away to something else, and has so many other things to cut to. Mm-hmm. You know, the nature of an actor, like the character that DiCaprio plays, is so much part of not just Hollywood, but any kind of profession, where you're probably past your peak.
Right.
You got to swing for the fences, but it was only a single.
You're not an A-lister anymore.
And now you're drinking, and you're worried about blowing your lines.
Roxy's laughing at she had the eighth whiskey sour.
Yeah. I love when he comes out with a pitcher of margaritas too into the driveway. I mean, I just love those scenes.
But he's redeemable.
Yeah.
He's redeemable, and he has a friend.
Because he's sensitive. He's
Yeah.
He cries. He likes a little girl.
No, he's a well-drawn character, him and Pitt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You were going to be showing this at your series, correct?
We'll be running it probably late in the semester when it comes out and is available for use in college classroom.
And tell us the factoids of that series, when it starts, August 23rd?
August 23rd, and Friday afternoons. It's a regular class. It's a special topics in film class. We do these as one-offs, so this will never happen again.
And the price point is what, Del?
For regular students as well as those who just want to come and audit, you buy the 3-hour credit. It's about $100 an hour, about $300.
Okay.
For 16 weeks, free popcorn,
That's great.
Door prizes. It's going to be
It's
a kind of
fabulous.
festive atmosphere. And if you take it for credit, you will have to do some papers.
And they get the expertise of Del.
I love doing papers. I was an English teacher.
Yeah. We're going to hang out with you.
Oh, yeah.
So if this is near the top, what is the very top in terms of his body of work?
Well, the real breakthroughs are Pulp Fiction and even Reservoir Dogs, I think, because what that also meant to aspiring film students. Reservoir Dogs may be more male-centric, obviously, but Pulp Fiction had some interesting detours, in all those characters and the small characters. I put those two right up there, and then Once Upon a Time, not too far after those.
Right. One of the scenes, I just have to say, because I just rewatched Pulp Fiction today, and because I finally appreciate it, because I think I only made it up to the Uma Thurman vomiting scene, way back, and said, no, I can't watch this anymore. So now I've seen the whole thing. The Bruce Willis scene in the pawn shop, where he picks up the hammer, he picks up the baseball bat, the chainsaw, and then he finds the sword, and it was like, that's the ticket.
That's classic.
I love that. I love that. So.
And these films talk to each other too. Swords play a role in Kill Bill,
of course,
et cetera, and some of the characters come back as reflections or
and the homage to old Hollywood and that music and that era.
And like he's instructional, like Samuel Jackson is explaining to Travolta, okay, here's what a pilot is, a TV pilot. You know what I mean? It's so cute. Like we're getting like a little manual
and a hamburger in different countries.
Yeah.
Just like Julia Butters in Once Upon a Time is giving Leonardo like, hey, I'm doing method acting. I can't get out of character.
Or the 8-year-old is giving.
And she gives him a review that's beautiful.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a sweet little moment.
I love it.
I fell out of it a couple times, and I have to check myself just to see if some of the scenes linger too long. I guess that's what I was saying. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have the arc quite that Pulp Fiction has in terms of the story. It's not as tight a film.
No,
I guess
I
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there.
It's just, and maybe it's the length, and you say, okay, I'm going to go for that ride. And it's a little longer. But how good is Leonardo? And we didn't talk about him too much. Is he? He's pretty damn good. In this film.
Yeah. I mean, and having Brad Pitt as a foil to complement.
Yeah.
And Pitt has moments that are outstanding. I mean, one of the most. Of course, we don't want to spoil it, but let's just say that Bruce Lee's daughter is very upset with the presentation of her father in this film. And when you see it, you'll know what we mean, right?
No, that's a great non-spoiler alert, yes.
And it sells tickets, let's just put it that way. Tarantino's the kind of guy that probably says, now we're making a movie.
Yeah.
And the handling of those very, for lack of a better word, very creepy people.
Yeah.
I mean, the Manson family, because there's a whole energy that it's hard to do in a film, to feel the energy come out of the theater when you see almost evil personified.
Right. Mm-hmm. And that farm,
the ranch,
the foreboding there was like,
that really existed, and it was a western town. Cool. And there really was a proprietor there. Bruce Dern plays him in the film.
Yeah.
He's so good in everything. Right?
And there really was a bevy of mostly young women who were under the spell of Manson, was under the spell of others.
Squeaky farm. And give us that little factoid of the late great Burt Reynolds was.
Burt Reynolds was originally cast as the Bruce Dern role at the ranch, and did a table read with Brad Pitt that Pitt says was some of the most exciting moments he ever had. And then 2 days later, Reynolds passes away. That makes me almost
want to cry now.
Yeah,
and Luke Perry.
Luke Perry.
This is his last performance.
Mm-hmm. And that gave me goosebumps too, because he's walking with a cane in the scene, and it's almost like, oh, poor man.
So you give it a homage to our friend Roger Ebert, who we both loved. Thumbs up.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I would. And it's not even one of those that you say with reservations. You know how sometimes Pulp Fiction, for example, you say, well, okay, this is the film I could recommend, but... And I don't think this has any buts in it.
Let me ask you about the violence, because Tarantino in Inglourious Bastards, and I can't even tell you how much I enjoyed. I'm going to use his quote. He said he loves to watch people, and it's fun to shoot violence. It's fun, and that's his line. I enjoyed that so much. There isn't a lot in this, but what there is, it's churse.
Yes, very true.
Movie.
Very true, and it comes at the right moment in the film.
So it's warranted. It's spot on for you.
Yeah.
Do you ever get grossed out for that if there's too much, like Roxy originally Pulp Fiction, there was just too much?
Yeah, trust me, I had a sweatshirt curtain up during Once Upon a Time.
Oh, you did?
I did. I didn't watch it. The violence scene.
Okay. Because you know it's coming.
I had a nice friend who knows how sensitive. Because I don't agree with putting those images in my head, but that's me personally.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I don't want to have that in my head.
So is that the one draw that you less is more? I mean, has he learned that in this? Is that the lesson?
Maybe, but other filmmakers today haven't. You know, let's look at the John Wick films.
Yeah.
John Wick 3 is over the top, and it's purposely that way in violence, but it's a kind of violence porn.
Because have you seen The Art of Self-Defense with Jesse Eisenberg?
No,
it's out now, and it's about a sort of a wimpy guy who decides to do judo karate and it is way too violent. And it was such a good movie. It was dry humor. It was wonderfully done, but then it goes way extreme.
The Wick films are cartoon violence.
Yeah,
they really are. But when I've seen those with grown people, cheering. I mean, at one moment it's like,
scary.
What does that do to you, Del? Is that giving an alarm? I mean, that's shocking, isn't it? People cheering.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's I said violence porn. I think that's what it is.
Like
how many bullets can you use to penetrate, and where can you penetrate?
How many punches?
And can you continue like the Energizer Bunny?
Yeah, is that why maybe Django, and I don't put Django in the same category. I think that although it's great, you said something on the other show about who he's attacking, the Nazis, the slave owners. You're not terribly sympathetic characters. You're rooting for them to get wasted, but there's a point where there's a cutoff for me. It's like I'm a John Ford guy. I mean, can you just kill one person?
Right.
And
we
make
get
it count?
Yeah, we get it. Right. Yeah.
You did in Once Upon a Time.
Right. But people say that Tarantino's a guy that likes to fetishize a lot. But like I say, just go see John Wick 3 and you'll see how gunfire is fetishized and bullets and weaponry. I don't get me wrong, I think the film is recommendable, but that's one of the ones I'd use reservations for.
Right.
Yeah. So tell us about the August 23rd, 1 o'clock to 4 p.m., right?
Yeah.
And you start in 16 weeks. It's credited. $300 is nothing. That's great.
Man, that's a great deal.